I have the great pleasure to have a guest. His name is Joey Waronker. I'm French, I'm having a hard time with your last name. Say your last name.
Waronker, you nailed it.
Waronker. Okay, Joey Waronker. And Joey Waronker is a great producer and engineer, mixer, who does beautiful records. So what kind of people do you work with?
I work with usually like some cool alternative indie artists.
Cool,
who I really
alternative
like.
indie artists. Those are amazing things. So I see here you work with Beck,
Correct.
and I see here you work with Atoms for Peace.
That's also true.
Is that a wonderful thing?
It is.
I'm very good friends with Mauro.
You are?
Yeah. I produced the Foro in the Dark records.
Oh, amazing.
Those are good records.
They're phenomenal.
So did you produce the Atoms for Peace record?
I collaborated. It's a band project.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you.
If you haven't listened to that Atoms for Peace record, tell us what the band is.
It's a collaboration. It's Tom York and myself and Nigel Godrich and Flea and Mauro Refosco and
All
cool.
beginners. Yeah, Flea, Tom York, Mauro Refosco, and Joey Waronker. All right, so what we're going to do today is we're going to give you a window into Joey's process into making records. So I have a session here for a song. Can you tell us how this came to be and what the situation was and stuff like that?
Yeah, I was talking with AC Newman,
Yeah.
who's in a band called the New Pornographers, and he sent me this song, and he had an idea to produce it in a kind of vintage country, or he used the term countrypolitan.
Contrapolitan.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a new one. That's nice.
So like a kind of 60s, 70s, almost like a Lee Hazelwood style, but to modernize it.
Cool.
And so it was a beautiful song, and we decided that we would record it
And so
in Santa Cruz
in Santa Cruz at UA's studio.
at UA's wonderful studio.
Yeah, so UA has a studio in the building where they design all the gear and where they come up with all the products that you buy from them, hopefully, for them. And so they have a recording studio in there called Studio 610. As you can imagine, it's extremely well equipped. Yeah, it's a good place.
It's great. Yeah, and the room itself mimics one of my favorite studios in LA, which, was a place where so many classic records were recorded in the 60s.
One of Bill Putnam's rooms.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. So, but there was something special about the process there. The idea was to use Apollo and Unison technology as much as possible, right?
Yes.
So what I have here, so we'll tell you more about the Apollo stuff in a second. Then I have the session, the actual session right here. I think it would be interesting to hear the song first.
Great.
So I have a music video
Okay.
because I came prepared.
You certainly did.
Isn't that wonderful? So I'm going to play you the music video. Maybe we won't play the whole song at the beginning. Maybe we'll play a few bars so you get a vibe for what we're going to talk about. And then we're going to talk about what we're going to talk about. That's the plan. All right, here we go. Video. Here we go.
There is no booze left in the house. There is no air left in the room. There is no fuel left in the fire. Colossus of roads. There are no signs of struggle here. There are no signs of forced entry. Must have been us that made this mess. When no one was listening, that we've had break-ins before. That we've had break-ins before.
All right, this is the sound. This is the color and the look of the song. Isn't that awesome? That show his work. All right. So I have some questions. I work for the KGB. All right. So I have a setup video here where I would really enjoy if you could comment on the choices that you made for microphones and stuff like that. So the video is running right now. And
Okay.
you can see it here. This is cool. There's no audio, so that you can talk about it. So this is your drum setup,
Yes.
and it's set up in a slightly unusual way. So I'm going to back up a little bit. So what kind? If you could talk generally about how you mic those drums, that would be great.
Okay, well, I'm a big fan of a kind of tight mono overhead that's sort of right over the center of the kit.
Uh-huh.
And actually, the room is so contained. Usually, I would have it lower,
Uh-huh.
but the room was so contained that it sounded nice that high.
Okay.
So, and then usually, I like to have a pair of dark stereo overheads. So I think we kind of used what we had.
Those
Yeah.
look like Stephenson's.
Something, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they sound good.
They're wonderful. This is right here. Josephson's. They're awesome. Great people, too. And then, so SM7 on the snare.
Yeah, I've been kind of messing around with, always using a 57 on the snare. So I've been using an RE20 on the snare.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just kind of like bigger dynamics.
How did that work out?
That's my new favorite. That's my new, go-to.
Isn't it too dark?
No, it's punchy and
Okay.
frequency. Yeah,
I
I
am
love it.
so going to steal that.
You got to try it. It's amazing.
I'm going to go try it. That's a guarantee. RE20 is an electro voice. You've seen that thing. It's an enormous thing. I've never thought of putting that on the snare. Okay, great. And then more Josephsons. No, those are Mojaves on the hi-hats.
Yeah.
And Ardixes on the tom. So the microphones were plugged into the Apollo, and then you use Unison Technology preamps on the way in, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so how did you choose this? What were your choices?
We listened to a few things, and we liked these. They sounded kind of warm and
Yeah.
rich, and it was kind of shockingly, it just felt like being. It was just normal good. if that makes sense.
So you felt at home.
Felt at home.
Yes, this one is particularly fat. It sounds really good. And then you had, so these are Unison mic pre's, right? So I'm just going to give a little feedback, background information. So basically, when you have an Apollo, either a twin or an 8P or an Apollo 8, those mic pre's are very modern, clean, fast, beautiful mic pre's, right? But what you can do is with Unison technology, you can put a plug-in in between the mic pre and the converter, and you can change the sound of that mic pre using the Unison technology to make it sound exactly like vintage mic pre's, like a 1073 or a 610A or B or an API. And it's actually accurate emulation that feels good. So it's important to understand what that technology is. Also, you use some real-time UAD compression here.
Yeah, let me see what it. Yeah, so
Snare
nothing-
under and overhead center.
Did we go crazy? No, nothing too crazy. But a lot of times, I'll use something really aggressive going in on the mono overhead
Oh, okay. To give it that crushy.
to give it, either maybe a snap with a
Yeah.
short release or a crush thing, or even distort it.
All right. That's nice.
Use it that way.
That's-
But I have to say, being kind of a analog snob, that these was
Yeah.
really satisfying.
Yes, that's a good word. They're very satisfying.
Yeah.
They sound like the originals, and they're readily available, and it's real time, and you can record through them with no latency on your way into your DAW, which is really fun. So what else do we have here in this wonderful stuff? So that was on the drums. Let's see what Mason gives. So that's the overall look. Oh, you removed the back head from the drum.
Yeah.
I do that all the time too. That's the old Ringo sound. That was the bass setup. So the bass, you had an amp, a mic, and a DI, I suppose. So
Yes, we did.
a microphone and a DI.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Unison mic pre's on both, and then LA2's on both.
Yeah.
On the way in.
Yeah, and because they work and they sound great as
Yes.
if it was analog. So
There, and then that's the RA20 for the bass cabinet, which was huge. And then you have acoustic guitar. So what was that? That was a...
that looks like a 67.
Yeah, that's a 67. And on the acoustic guitar, you had, let's see, again, the same thing. So basically, your whole console was like if you had a 610 console.
That was the idea,
That's nice.
which I really loved.
Yes.
Because, I do get used to having to use like a different palette of mic pre's, which is cool, but the idea of a console is
Beautiful.
so awesome.
So basically, Joey built the sound of his console using the Unison mic pre's. He chose to have a 610B. He could have chosen to have a Neve console in about the same amount of time by choosing the Neve plugin. So that's great. And then you had a little bit of compression. So that's the guitar. What else do we have? I'm interested to get to the strings myself. So what is this? That's the voice. Again, a 610B and an LA2 and then a Pultec Pro. What was the use of the Pultec for?
What were we doing? Let's see.
Yeah, it's like all flat
Oh, I guess we just had it there
in case.
just in case.
Okay.
And then maybe I mean the way that I use UAD, which I'm sure a lot of people do, it has an immediate sound.
Correct.
So there's a bit of coloration that's
Yes.
nice.
Because they emulate the input and output transformers on everything. And
Yeah.
so you get that transformer sound. Okay, cool. That's also a 67.
The same one, as a matter of fact.
We are cheats. And so that's the other singer, same system, same 67. We're on to you. And then at the end of the song, there's a string section. So you have 3 microphones. Apparently it's LCR. So can you tell us about that?
Just to get a natural sound, and I got to give Gannon from Universal Audio a bunch of credit for helping with this. We were multi-tracking the small section, so he really helped and made sure that the sound was dead and neutral, so that when we stacked the layers,
There was
we
no
didn't
peaks.
everything worked, and we didn't get weird overtones.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to do that.
It's really hard.
Yeah, because when you have the same performers in the same spot with the same microphone, the same preamp, whatever peak there is, there's always a peak, right? The resonance gets multiplied exponentially every time you stack the ensemble, and it's a real pain to fix.
Yeah, it's terrible. And it can also, I find when I've had to do it before, like, it ends up sounding like samples.
Yes.
Weird.
Yeah, but you have to keep cleaning up the problems, and then you clean up the joy with the problems. Yes, I know it's hard. So let's switch to the session. Let me get rid of this. So we are the session right now, and so we have. This is the actual session. Should we let's listen to the strings because they sound really good. Check it out. And the strings come later in the song. Here you go. Check it out. Just 4 players. Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, and that's they're called Magic, and they're just an unbelievable section in San Francisco.
Oh, wow.
So I was stunned at how well they played together.
That's the key for string players. If they don't play together, you can get the best players in the world. It's not going to sound good. This is great. It sounds beautiful. So let's talk. I have some questions for you because this was not innocent. I have a question for you.
Okay.
I'm never innocent. Although I have the Britney Spears thing, I'm not that innocent. Just saying. So all those strings, raw, with no plugins, are summed into a bus. And on that bus, there's very little. There's no EQ or anything. Everything happened in unison. But you do have this guy.
Yeah.
Tell us about this guy.
You know, honestly, I just like what it does color-wise. It just tends to widen things out a bit, and I don't know, especially things like violins. It'll kind of shave off some nastiness.
Yes. This emulates the tape. It's a Studer A800 model that is unbelievably accurate, especially when it comes to transients. So anything, you know, transients when it hurts your eyes a little bit, when stuff is a little shiny and you're like, this is amazing for that. I use this plugin on pretty much everything to a fault. So then you have a sand, which goes to, and this is interesting, you've never seen this done before, so I'm interested to hear why you do this. You sand the whole string section, everything in it, to an eventide.
Yes.
Why?
I was just looking for a little kind of flangey, phasey, something unique, and I love that harmonizer plugin so much.
It's a lot of fun.
And so I think strings are cool with a little bit of modulation. And
Right.
we were trying to kind of, you know, mess it up. But I mean, it's not like it's
subtle.
not that new of a
No,
trick.
it's subtle. But I was like, what? What is he doing? And then the reverb you use on the string is this guy,
Yeah.
AKG BX20.
That's like my new favorite.
I have one.
Oh, you have one?
I have
That's
one.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I
I
make-
have a bunch of springs, but I don't have any of the a BX10 or 20
It
or 50.
is wonderful. I
Oh, man.
actually mixed Maono's record with the 20 and the 10.
Awesome.
Beautiful stuff. And you're using it in mono.
Oh, did I switch it to mono?
Yeah.
I guess I was just kind of like, I mean, I'll just switch things and see what.
And you just listen to it.
Yeah.
What a concept. It's amazing. The whole listening thing.
Thank you.
I see a future in it. Yeah, I'm thinking it's going to catch on. I keep thinking it's going to catch on. All right, so these strings, I want to hear those strings again. They're so beautiful. And I'm going to turn this on. And they have a little more involved part on the bridge, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I love it. With just 4 players and good writing.
Really amazing.
So cool. Now I'd like to talk about the vocal sound. So do you remember the vocal, right? It was a 67 into a US 610 and an LA2. And that was it. And that was all printed, like if it were hardware, right? We're all clear on that? Okay, cool. So let me find it. Because you don't put them where I put them. There. Your vocals are yellow.
Fitting.
That's interesting.
I don't know why,
All right, so let's see. Let's see.
I know why.
Check this out.
There is no booze left in the house. There is no air left in the room.
Do you guys notice something on this session? It's this track. I'm gonna make it red so you can see what it is. See this?
There is no booze left in the house.
There are no plugins on it.
Oh, well, I'm kind of cheating. It's bounced.
It's bounced.
It's bounced.
I wasn't given the source.
I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
It might be.
Okay, so do you remember vaguely what you did? Because I hear a reverb, and I thought you used a real-time reverb to track it the way. Aha! Look at this. Aha! Now we are talking. Okay, take 2. A 1, a 2.
I thought I left it. Yeah. Okay.
Wake up.
Then
That's okay. We'll live.
That's
okay.
fine.
So you have Alto Boy,
Yes.
which is a fun Santoris plugin that makes crazy things, and then DBX 160, and then so you had 3 compressors in a row on this.
I know. It's crazy.
So why? You have an 1176?
I think we didn't. It looks like I didn't end up using the 1176, but
That's true.
We were going for a super smashed sound, like as smashed as possible.
And so, why would you not want to do that with just one compressor on stun? Why is it better to do it with two compressors?
I think we had this
Zenith?
the Zenith, and it just wasn't extreme enough, and I just was like, let's see what happens if I go into the DBX on top of that, and
Well, this is what happens.
yes.
There is no booze left in the house.
Which is pretty awesome.
There is no air left in the room.
And so, in the context of the whole song, which is what matters the most, right? Because by itself, it serves no purpose, but with the song,
There is no booze left in the house.
now it makes sense.
There is no air left in the room.
Cool.
There is no fuel left in the fire.
So, I had another question on something I've seen in your session that I hadn't seen before. Is that on your EMT 140, which is one of my favorite plugins that they make,
Yeah.
which is an emulation of a plate reverb.
The best.
Amazing. You have an echo before it, which means everything that's going to get to the plate is going to go through this echo before.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this done before. Why do you do that? What's the idea?
It's kind of a pre-delay concept. I picked it up along the way. Somebody who was super old school was doing it, and it's kind of like, oh, this is a classic sound. This is kind of how things were done, and so I just kind of stuck with it. But it's also elongating a short reverb. It's kind of like tricking, and I'll do it with chambers as well.
Okay. Yes, I saw that. So the idea is to color the signal that you send to the reverb.
Yes.
Okay. And so you're using this on many different things, but because of some of the printing, I wasn't able to isolate it.
Exactly.
But
Sorry
it's
about
a very good trick, and it sounds very nice. I hadn't seen it before, so I thought it was a nice touch. And then I wanted to ask you about your mix bus. So on your mix bus, you have a 33609. The mix bus is the whole master, right, guys? Okay. And then a 660. So what are their respective functions?
Now, this is kind of what happened. It's happened sometimes. It's almost a lazy thing, where like I put on the 33609 to see what it would do, and then muted it. Put on the Fairchild, kind of used that and preferred that, and just left the Neve on there and bypassed.
Okay.
So that's kind of one of my little workflow.
Okay.
And then I can always like toggle back and forth if I decide later.
And so what are you looking for in a compressor on your 2 mix? What is it doing for you?
For me, for this, it was almost like just for the sake of making it a little bit more listenable, tightening it up. Like I would hope to send, I would send that version for mastering,
Yeah.
but I would also send a version without anything for mastering, and see which one the mastering engineer, or that we both choose.
Okay, so did you hear that? It is not written in stone or in the stars or on the Constitution that you have to have a 2-bus compressor on your mix. It's not mandatory.
As a matter of fact, I try to work without it.
Okay.
It's really just more like it pulls things together. I know it's going to be a little easier to listen to, especially if it's going out for reference as an MP3 or something like that. And then, of course, there's a limiter after that.
Yes.
To make it loud. So.
Because that's what we do.
Yeah, unfortunately, but for myself, I feel like you should get it. I want to get it to sound as good as possible without anything.
Yes, and it tends to be more pure and more pristine without a 2-bus compressor.
Yeah.
It's a skill set to use a 2-bus compressor and it be a plus as opposed to a hindrance. So what's your usual working environment? I mean, the whole Apollo Unison experiment was an experiment.
Yeah.
How do you usually work?
I work in a lot of different ways, but generally if there's a band like this, it would be tracking everyone in a studio,
Yeah.
and then it would be coming probably back to my own studio, which is more of a project room,
Okay.
and deconstructing and adding, and then doing a few overdubs and usually vocals.
So on this session, are there a lot of overdubs? Did you have to do a lot of overdubs?
No, I think that there was a lot of deconstructing, and then I might have added like some very subtle electronic, like a drum machine type of thing. And I think that was it, and the rest was just kind of fiddling with the stuff that was already there.
Fiddling, that's a technical term I use a lot too. What are you doing? I'm fiddling. Go away. All right, so we're going to run out of time. This is very, very, I like how organic everything is, and how just emotive and emotional your connection to the tools are. And it's nice. It's wonderful. So we have two options. We can play the whole song from the mix, but no picture. Or we can play that extract again with picture. So with picture, whole song. You guys, I love you guys. When I grow up, if I grow up, I want to be like you. All right, so let's listen to the whole song.
Cool.
There is no booze left in the house. There is no air left in the room. There is no fuel left in the fire. Colossus of roads. There are no signs of struggle here. There are no signs of forced entry. Must have been us that made this mess when no one was listening. That we've had break-ins before. That we've had break-ins before. I tolerate you to keep peace. We don't know what to talk about. We never have, we never will. Colossus of roads. So drop your things and try to run. The calls are coming from the house. But who would want
Joey Waronker. That sounds lovely, man. That's very pretty. Thanks so much, guys.